Hawk. Hunt and respond to Microsoft Cloud threats with open source precision.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the final video in our Hawk tutorial series. Today we'll be going over how to conduct a user investigation. For more detailed steps, check out our website at hawkforensics.io. The link is in the description below. Alright, so let's get into it. Now that we have a PowerShell terminal open, we'll simply type in start, tag hawk, user investigation, followed by tag user principal name, and then we'll go ahead and enter in a user that we want to conduct our user investigation against. All right. Now the first thing that you'll be prompted with here is to enter in an output directory. This output directory is where Hawk is going to store all of its logs while pulling back all these logs from the Microsoft Cloud. And this has to be a pre-existing directory. And we already created one called Hawk Demo. Now the first thing that's going to do is connect to the Microsoft Graph. And then next it's going to go ahead and it's going to do a nice little check here to determine what type of M365 license you have. Now, if it's a 5 series license, such as a G5 or an E5 license, that allows you within the Microsoft Cloud to retain logs up to 365 days. If you have a 3 series license, E3 or G3, then your max log retention for M365 will be 180 days, which then helps you answer this next question here. How far back in time do you want to start your investigation? You can type in the number of days or a month, day, year format. For the sake of this tutorial, to save time, we're simply going to type in going back in 2 days in history. And then same question here, but now it's asking you for the last day of the investigation. We're going to default to today's date by pressing enter. All right, now we're going to be prompted to connect to Exchange Online. But before we do, I did want to point out here that once your configuration is complete, Hawk's going to let you know what your version number is, your file path, start date, end date, and then the tenant that you're hunting against. And additionally here, you'll notice that a subdirectory was created by Hawk under the directory that we specified. And that subdirectory is going to be Hawk underscore your tenant name, and then followed by a date time stamp. So we'll go ahead and connect to Exchange Online. And this wall of yellow text here is indicative of us connected to Exchange Online. And now the user investigation is going to begin here. Now, while the user investigation is running, you're going to notice here what we call these prompt tags. We have a couple different prompt tags, action tag, investigate tag, and an info tag, and some others. But those are some of the more important ones. Info is anytime an action completes. Action is anytime an action is occurring, such as pulling down logs from the Microsoft Cloud. And then you also saw that investigative tag up top as well. And that investigative tag is a cue to the user, a hint to the user that, hey, Hawk has identified something worth looking into further, whether it's some excessive permissions or mail forwarding rules and things of that nature. We call these investigative signals. And there's more documentation on all of our investigative signals on the Hawk Forensics website at hawkforensics.io. But as you can see it, our user investigation has completed. It gives you the total runtime. Again, this is a very short runtime because this is a 2-day time window that we're going through. It tells you where to look at your user files. Now we're going to clear the screen real quick, and then we'll show you running this from non-interactive mode. So the interactive mode was what we just ran in, which is where Hawk will prompt you for questions along the way to configure your Hawk environment. But now we're going to run it in non-interactive mode. So we'll tab complete this real quick, and then we'll throw in the additional command line switches here. And all these command line switches, again, are documented on our website. But for this one, we'll just do days to look back 90, and the file path for Hawk demo. And I'm simply going to press enter. And now you'll notice that we're not asked for all the questions that were asked previously because Hawk is not configured using those command line arguments. All right, now that our user investigation is complete, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the log files that Hawk pulled back. So right now we are inside of the Hawk demo directory, and right here you'll notice the subdirectory that Hawk created for us. Looking closely at this, you'll also notice that this particular Hawk run was from about a week ago. The reason why we're looking at these logs as opposed to the ones that we just pulled back is the run that we just conducted only went 2 days back in history. This particular run went about 30 to 60 days back in history, which provides us with some more logs to look at. So open up this folder. You'll notice 2 text files here and 2 subdirectories. The first file here is the Hawk log file. And what this contains is a exact replica of all the logs that were displayed to your screen while you're running Hawk during your investigation. And then you'll have this investigate file. So this log simply contains all of the log messages that were displayed to the screen that had the investigate prompt tag here displayed for you. One of the logs in particular that we're going to look at here in just a minute is there was an investigate tag, investigate signal that was flagged for some inbox rules that were created for this user here. And we'll take a look at that in just a minute here. So investigate inbox rules butler.j.csv. So the other directories that are created here is the tenant directory, and this is created whenever you conduct your tenant investigation. We're not looking at this because this was explained in the previous tenant investigation video. And then whenever you run a user investigation, there will be a directory created for that particular user, in this case for Butler J. Open up this directory, you'll notice a number of different file types. We have text files, CSV files, and JSON files. The JSON files are great for pulling into seams and looking at a number of log sources or logs in the JSON format. So if you want to pull into Elk or Splunk, you can do that. A lot of the logs coming back from the Microsoft Cloud are in a JSON format. We also take those JSON files and convert those into CSV files. This gives an analyst a quick and nice, easy look at the data that's inside the JSON files. And then the text files are typically your statistics files or your configuration files. Now, one thing that you'll also notice here is there are a number of files that are prepended with the word simple. And anytime that you see these, for example, simple exchange search queries, you'll also notice another CSV and JSON file that has the same name without simple prepended to it. So whenever you see a simple file, what this is a copy of this file here, but instead of having a bunch of nested JSON inside of this CSV file, we are flattening that JSON, creating additional columns to make it easier for you to read inside of CSV. So what I mean by that, let's take a look here. So exchange search queries, this is a log file that's pulled back that will pull back logs for any sort of searches that are done with inside of a user's mailbox. So for example, the user here was looking for a secret recipe and Hawk secret data and password. But also inside this log file here, you'll notice this app access context column, and this has a bunch of nested JSON here. So a bunch of additional key value pairs here as well. This isn't too hard to look at, but there are some other logs, such as the UAL, that have a ton of nested JSON. It is very difficult to look at inside of CSV files. So what we go ahead and do is we go ahead and flatten that for you in the simple files. So looking at simple exchange search queries, pulling this open now, you'll now notice that we have some additional columns that are created for all the key value pairs for the app access context. So we have app access context underscore app ID, and then all the values, app access context, correlation ID, all those values as well, just to make it a bit of an easier look for the user. And then lastly, we'll go ahead and take a look at the investigate file that was flagged back up in the text file here for the inbox rules. For this particular log file here, Hawk is flagging on some inbox rules based upon some what we call investigative signals or detection techniques that we have built into Hawk. The particular item that was flagged here by Hawk was the fact that a user had an inbox rule that forwards all emails to a domain right here. Someone else at updated domain updated_domain.com. For a more detailed understanding of all the reasons why Hawk is flagging on particular items, what we call again our investigative signals, go ahead and check out our website at hawkforensics.io, and that explains in more greater detail what it is that we're flagging and why we're flagging those particular items. All right, so that's the final video in our YouTube series. For more information, go ahead and check out hawkforensics.io.